What is spent by the government each year can be described as controllable and uncontrollable spending. Most specific items in the federal budget are controllable. Congress and the President can decide how much will be spent on many of the things government does. For example, national parks, highway projects, aid to education, military hardware, civil service pay, and so on can be controlled. Discretionary spending can also be used to describe spending on those budget items on which Congress and the President can make choices.
Although let me just point out here that I think it's important to note that the controllable spending is less and less an option as so many entitlement programs are growing in size. There's just scraps left of there, and paying the interest on the debt. There's just scraps left over for the President and Congress to fight over. So really, it's pretty much becoming what? An uncontrollable budget.
Oh no.
Most of federal spending is uncontrollable. This is because mandatory spending was built into many public programs when Congress created them. The controllable is 30% of the yearly budget that the President and Congress have control over. The uncontrollable is 70% of the yearly budget that is required by law or earlier obligations to be spent.
And the other 25, actually should be 30. I think we're down like almost 20% now of the controllable spending is for the military. And the question is, how small do you want to shrink the military? So you can see why there's really little left over to fight about. And even that which they are fighting about is pretty much borrowed money anyway. So.
Is it true that if you would reduce the money that you would waste on the military by 80%, it would still be more than what? It would still be a lot, pretty much.
I don't know. A lot of the military is. Yeah, I don't think we ever get to see some of the stuff that it's spent on, because of national security issues. Who knows? But we're told it's about 20% of the budget.
The federal budget. The Constitution gives the Congress the very significant power to control financing of federal government and all of its operations. From the Constitution, no money shall be drawn from the treasury but in consequence of appropriation made by the law. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7. Congress is the only one who will provide the huge sum of the government consumes each year. Even though Congress holds the power of the purse, it is the President who initiates the process by which the federal government spends its money.
So who controls the purse?
Congress.
Congress does. Who actually gets the whole budget process moving?
President.
The President. Why? Because he oversees all the branches of government which enforce the law.
The President and budget. At least 18 months before the fiscal year, each federal agency prepares detailed estimates of its spending needs for that year. These plans are submitted to the President's Office of Management and Budget. The Office of Management and Budget reviews and adjusts these budget proposals. The President then sends the final budget request to Congress on the first Monday in February.
Congress and the budget. The House and Senate Budget Committees study the budget along with the help of the Congressional Budget Office. The Congressional Budget Office is Congress' independent version of the OMB. Each budget committee submits a budget resolution that is debated and voted on each House. The two budget resolutions are merged into one version by Congress, vote on by May 15th.
Theoretically. Theoretically, February 1st, the President's already crunched the numbers of the requests from all the federal agencies, and theoretically the budget's supposed to be out by May 15th, taking effect October 1st of that year and going all the way, that fiscal year will go from October 1st to September 30th.
The Congress passed certain measure
Appropriation
bills each year. Each must go to the White House with the President's action. Congress hopes to pass all 13 of the appropriations measures by October 1st. Congress must then pass emergency spending legislation to avoid shutdown of those agencies for which appropriations have not yet been signed into law.
And sadly, in most of your life, I'm afraid that our Congress and presidents have not been very successful in actually creating a budget. In fact, the past, it's either 6 or 7 years, our president and Congress couldn't even get together and actually pass a budget. We've been operating on continuing resolutions for the past 6 to 7 years. That tells you how dysfunctional they are in Washington, D.C.
When signed by the President, this measure allows the affected agencies to continue to function on the basis of the previous year's appropriations.
So if someone asks you, do we have a working federal budget, your answer would be what?
No.
No, we're functioning on what? CRs, which are what? Continuing resolutions. That just basically means, this is what you had last year, this is what you're going to continue on next year. And it may just be because we're out of money. I don't know.
That's it. Yeah, the other side.
And then we pull up the other one. Okay. And these